Welcome, everybody, back to another episode of Non-Fungible News. As always, I am Tricky Boom. Today, we have Doug and Gwen from Vendible, and we have just seen them recently pop up on VeChain, their Crosschain project, and they've kind of come in like a flash here, and they're making some noise. We're excited to see what they're all about. But how are you guys doing today?
Yeah, doing great. Thank you for inviting us. Really appreciate it, and it's great to connect up with you. And yeah, we just looking forward to VeChain discussion and anything else you want to cover with us. But we're optimistic about it all.
Well, good. Optimism is important, especially right now. There's so much going on in the crypto world, and the mainstream media spins it how they choose. And you're hearing a lot of different things from a lot of different sources, but at your core, if you know what you know and you believe in it, then you're here for the right reasons, and everybody wants you here. Let's just jump in, see what is Vendible. Give us a kind of a brief overview of you guys and what your project is at its core.
Yeah, so at the core, if we're talking about the product Vendible, at its core, it is a solution set to help not only current Web3 users, but also Web2 users securely and easily interact and board and self-custody in Web3. How can we truly own not only our assets, but also our data and have control over it? But at the same time, there are security measures in place so that we don't lose these assets from mistake, and that we can interact with decentralized applications as if they are kind of like Web2 apps, and also for developers, giving them tools to board, the next wave of users when they're ready to come in.
Anything to add to that, Gwen?
Yeah, that's exactly right. Think of it, an identity network. We're a wallet infrastructure play with the focus on, identity management, and we have a couple components on that. Yes, one of our main projects is about seed phrase, private key protection and recovery, so that you have a peace of mind with your assets, like we were talking about earlier. So that is one of our core go-to-market strategies and products that we have. We also have our utility NFTs. That's a whole part of our of our master plan. And but yeah, we're ultimately working to become kind of a Stripe model. I think a lot of people know that model, where they're have developers building on top of their their infrastructure place. So that's kind of where we want to take it in the big picture, in the big scheme of things. That's not going to happen this month, but yeah, that's kind of where we're going and where we are with it.
So it's a pretty tall order, a lot of moving parts. You guys have your NFTs, your different blockchains, which we'll get into, your trustable service, which you're just talking about. You guys have obviously been in crypto for a while, I would have to assume, and seen a lot of different scenarios play out, and you guys have put your heads together to say, hey, we want to do this, and so much more. What's your history in crypto?
My background is in mechanical engineering, energy transfer systems, process improvement, sustainable design, and I'm kind of a researcher at heart. And I remember driving home one day, and on the radio I heard that someone had purchased a pizza with this thing called Bitcoin. It was back in 2012. And I got pretty curious because back in the 80s, I was programming in BASIC, and I was making these choose your own adventure games, and I had this digital currency that I had in the game. So I just wanted to check it out. And I thought it was interesting, and I was looking at it from a scalability standpoint. Could this actually scale? And what would that take? And so I really just kept it at that for a while. And then in 2016, Proof of Stake came along, and I got really interested and started getting involved in some open source work groups, one in privacy payments and another in identity. And I love the communities. I love that community build aspect. I thought there's no question that technology is fantastic. But at the same time, I had this gnawing feeling that nobody was really going to ever use this tech the way that it was structured. And so I started looking at the entire space and comparing it to other technologies and where they were in their like technology adoption cycle. So, you know, if you go back to like PC computers, what did it take to go from businesses using these computers and the first people using them in their homes to all of a sudden it exploded and everybody had to get one and have it in their homes? And the same thing with like mobile phones. You know, how did we go from these big chunky things to everybody staring at their phone all the time? Really, we identified a few key blocks to this technology. One is around privacy. So there's no real privacy on a public network. The chains that are private, they don't have any sort of, businesses will never build there. And so what do you have to do in order to get a business to build on a network that has a privacy component? But then at the same time, there also is an issue around, private keys and even onboarding in a system. How do you make this as frictionless as possible so that people don't do what's easiest? And so in the market right now, there's a lot of big corporations that are building on blockchain, and they understand technology adoption cycles, and they're acting as custodians because they know that people will naturally move to whatever is easiest. And so what we are doing at Vendible, whether it is maintaining that privacy, but also having a structure to it so that regulations can come into play if need be, but also there's security for assets, protections against loss, and it's smooth and simple so that people don't all go towards custodians, because current trends say that the 95% of people who currently aren't using this technology, most of them, when it comes to being presented to them, will be presented to them by some large corporation, and they'll be the custodians, and they will own the assets, and the individuals won't. And so after all of this, these years of technological process, or progress, we really wouldn't have moved the needle any. We'll just have Web2 with a blockchain database, and nobody will still own their assets. There'll just be a new set of custodians. So Vendible is like this reaction to that and saying, here is an alternative where you can own your data, you can own your assets, but it's simple and it's safe and secure.
And Boomer, the company was founded in Memphis. I mean, we're Delaware C Corp. It's founded in Memphis. That's how Doug and I, to kind of personalize it a little bit more, that's how Doug and I know each other. That's how we're connected in the entrepreneurial circles from probably 4.5, 5 years ago. And Doug has been in the industry longer than I have. Mine has been really more about probably 4 years. I'm an angel investor in a couple kind of fraud AI deals that are traditional SaaS fintech companies, but we have an alignment. We complement each other, in our skill sets and what we're doing. And we just said, hey, where things are now, we want to really take it into a different direction and really grow it accordingly. So we just have the right alignment. So we just said, let's look at some L1s. Let's see where we can get some support. Let's see how we can build a team, how we can go to market, and really put together, kind of our vision and our mission. And that's how it was really founded. Here in Memphis, we're a team of 11. That's a combination of community people, developers, cryptographers, literally all around the world. And so yeah, we're working to, get adoption, and that's really what it's all about. I mean, this is we're really bleeding and sweating and everything else that goes along with being startup and being entrepreneurs. And we're just grinding it out. We're iterating. We don't have all the answers, and we're just trying to do our best to really make an impact. And, being an entrepreneur, you sometimes 5 steps forward and 7 back and 10 forward and 3 back. So as long as we're pushing forward and moving the needle, that's all that really matters. But yeah, the story is founded here in Memphis, and that's how Doug and I, know each other. And we didn't come from Coinbase or Ripple or somewhere else where we're all about growing divisions and other industries, and we're just using those skills to really be part of something great with what we're doing here.
Those are some good points you guys made in there, because the whole idea behind crypto is decentralization and to own your own assets and peer-to-peer and essentially eliminate the middleman. Well, the Coinbases, the Binances, they're middlemen. They're no different than the traditional finance, really. I mean, and that's not what it's all about. Not supposed to be what it's all about. So people like us, obviously, we have stacks of paper this high with our keys on them for different wallets and everything. But yeah, you're right, Doug. Not everybody's going to do that. People are going to take the path of least resistance. And when Bitcoin is on every corporation's balance sheet and retirement accounts, ETF, and everything, people aren't going to own their own. It's all going to be just the same as traditional finance now. So you guys found a niche, and you want to give people assistance in owning their own assets without the struggle of what we know, with keeping track of our keys and everything else, and what goes where and how it got there and why and everything else. So I think that's pretty interesting what you guys are building. And definitely you guys have a long road ahead with the adoption of the everyday person and everything. But I can tell you guys are passionate about it. Where did you guys start? So you got your business plan together. What was your first blockchain that you launched on?
So actually, this was originally architected on Quorum, which Quorum is a permission blockchain. It was built by a major bank, and because the original idea was to effectively, what we do at the end of the day is we couple identity to assets, whether that asset is like a stable coin or it's a text message that I send. And we wanted to be able to allow the user, the individual, to own all of that, but then give corporations the ability to have this set of standards that they could use to build products on that would allow them to scale globally quickly. There was traction there, and then COVID really made us rethink our relationships with centralized institutions. And so I had been in talks with the Algorand Incorporated, so the development team behind the Algorand network, since really early 2019, before they went to testnet. I'd looked at a lot of different potential networks. VeChain was on my list because, like Gwen said, I came from FedEx. I'm big into. I was really looking at every single supply chain startup in the blockchain space that was coming out, 2016, 17, 18, following that space pretty closely. And I've made some relationships in Algorand. And so I kept tabs with them because I really, truly wanted this on a public blockchain. And the more that we talk to, big corporations, the more we realize they actually want to have a set of open standards that they can all build on. So it makes sense, but companies like of the Fortune 500, like 65% of them are either actively building or they're piloting some blockchain solution, but they're almost all on closed permission networks. because they cannot risk exposing their, like their public accounts to their trade partners. Because if you do, then you know the state and the activity of all your assets, in the past, in the current, and the future. And so what I proposed to Algorand in 2021 was, let's take what we've done in this closed permission system where it's really easy, right? To say you can't see this and you can only see this. It's extremely difficult on a public network to then put these privacy rules in place. And so it took us like 5 months just to write the grant to determine how we were actually even going to achieve this. We got awarded that back in the summer of 21, and we finished that this summer, which essentially laid down all of the architecture and the implementation for our system. It's completely fully cross-chain, and we sit over essentially all major blockchains as a trust layer. We have another set of keys that we generate, and they're zero knowledge. They go really fast when you generate the zero knowledge proofs. And one of the first proofs that we generate is that the key that this user creates in their wallet is the same as the key on the L1, and it sends a proof back. And so essentially you can control, assets on any chain from this overarching layer. And then the big key to what we do is that each participant in our network is unique. They have their own unique identity. They can only have one account in our system. And we are able to prove this without them having to tell us any information about themselves. Privacy preserving from the start. This becomes a really powerful tool for the people that are on our network, because they can begin to interact with applications and each other in new types of ways. It's powerful for developers, because how do you keep bots out of your system? If you want to ensure that you want to create a dApp where like Doug can only have one account in there, like I can create multiple accounts. How would you do that on a regular public blockchain? You can just ask questions to our accounts and they'll tell you yes or no, whether I've already had an account in there. So I may have gone beyond your question, but I do that sometimes.
So they had just reached out. You got Algorand Inc., and they're the engineering side. You got Algorand Foundation, and the foundation is who awarded us. They supported us, and that really helped us. In addition to a couple service contracts, that really helped us jumpstart, where we were, and that alignment was there. We know all the executive teams on both sides, and it's kind of like VeChain. It just fits and it just works. And there's validation, and they aren't perfect, but their technology is really phenomenal, and we would love to see them be better at their marketing, and I think they're getting there. But anyway, we're happy with where we are there, but we have to be agnostic and looking at everybody else, and that's where VeChain has come in. And I think that was your original question: who you building on, and who do you have a relationship with? Algorand, VeChain. There's also Polygon in there too. We've looked at a lot of their technology really multidimensionally, whether it's Polygon Studios, whether it's Polygon DeFi, whether it's Polygon ID. They bought a couple of different companies that were part of that ZK proof technology, like Hermes. So we've talked to Polygon ID in depth about what we're doing, and they're listening. So I think we just need to get, we just need to continue to get more entrenched in VeChain, and I think we're moving, pretty fast, and we want that whole team to feel comfortable in what we're doing too. And I know you're not asking this, but who knows who's next? Let's just focus on let's just go for excellence with these, like VeChain, do our best, make an impact and build, and then we'll figure out, yeah, we have a short list of others, but let's do our best with these guys that are in front of us, and let's make a difference.
So if I remember right, in your space this last Wednesday, I think you guys had mentioned that the Polygon community is not quite as receptive as maybe you'd like, or they're just not exactly picking up what you guys are doing.
I think they would. It's just taking a little bit longer, and I mean, I think our strategy's right. It's just taking longer. I think probably some of that was due to the holidays, and I think we have to just continue to follow and find the right advocates for us. And we've been fortunate with VeChain because we found those, and it's worked a lot faster. So we're running with it. Polygon is huge. They're massive. And I think it's just taken a little bit more effort for us to find the advocates, the community folks, and even the internal people. They've had some churn with some people that we've had good relationships with. So now you kind of have to start over. But yeah, they're obviously making a huge impact with a lot greater reach. And it just takes a little bit more effort. And, whether that's Discord, whether that's with what I'll call their Polygon affiliates, we're working all different angles. And it just takes effort, and it takes presence and engagement. But yeah, time is something that Doug and I are very sensitive about, because the speed of which everything moves, as you know, Boomer, is fast, and we don't want to be always looking behind us. We want to be looking forward, and we'll get there with them. And we know a lot of the team, but we just need to have measurable impact with them too.
And I feel like the last few weeks, there's been a lot of progress there. We had not engaged all of our really presence is known at the business development level. So a lot of the biz dev teams know us, and we're talking about integrations and things like that. But really nobody from the retail side has heard of us and knew of us. And so we started making a really active push into some of the NFT communities. Campaign last week. We'll probably see another one this week coming up. And I think that has moved the needle quite a bit in the last few days. I feel a lot better at the end of this week than I did last week, because now it feels like we know some of the voices that are talking to the community, where before we only knew the people in the our Zoom calls.
So is it much different to build on layer 1? So how is it building on Polygon being a layer 2?
Oh, it doesn't matter. It's just we just match the keys. That's the nice part about what we do. It's really flexible, and we can fit with technically any blockchain, from Bitcoin to like a hyperledger that's used like a closed system for business. We can pretty much fit anywhere.
And that's all part of our 88-page or so white paper. And we can go into detail about that, just to back up what Doug's saying.
Interesting. So I'm guessing that you guys enjoy the feel of a small community as far as starting up like on VeChain, because it's gonna be easier to get your word across to every corner of the community before we start growing huge, as opposed to like on Polygon, where they're already huge and you're trying to get a name for yourself. So let's jump into the NFT topic. You have NFTs on all the blockchains that you're on. What exactly are those? They're IBLs is the name of it?
IBL. So IBLs. It's the last 4 letters in our name, Vendible. So IBLE is IBL. And we currently, there's 4 series released. 3 are on Algorand and 1 is on Polygon. And this is our way of building a committed core of supporters on each blockchain that we go to. So how are we going to achieve that? If there's no real incentive, then we kind of get lost in all the noise. And so IBL City is our kind of way of pushing out. And we call it a cross-network fungible token, or an XNFT. because it does not matter what chain it's minted on. They have the exact same utility and the exact same value inside of our ecosystem, regardless of whatever the price is on the marketplaces across the different chains, which we also think is going to be pretty interesting after the series closes, because arbitrage will kick in cross-chain. And so the marketplaces that are hosting these should see some increased activity around that. So we're excited to see that. But we envision so we're launching a DAO. The DAO is in charge of essentially part of the auditing system for our network. And they're also responsible for being the voice of the members on our unique identity network. And so we want like a visual way to represent and interact in the DAO. And so we came up with this idea of having these ecosystems, and these ecosystems are tied to products and services that the company Vendible releases. We also have a token that will be coming out. It's called Vend, V-E-N-D. And there's no public sale. The only way that you can get this token is through participation events. And so the first big participation event is participating in testnet for our new product, Trustable, which just protects your private keys. And so Ibble City allows you a couple things. Number one, it gives you bonus Vend when you participate in testnet, but it also is one-for-one claims over plots of land in this virtual world that we're creating inside of our DAO ecosystem. And owning those plots of land are the only way that you can passively generate Vend. There's no real other way to just stake Vend and get more Vend, because we work on a revenue share model. So the way that our system is set up, Vendible, the company, provides products and services for developers across all these blockchains. They're going to pay us in all of these assets, from Bitcoin to USDC to BT and others. And so those will come into these pools. And we then take a percentage of that revenue in those assets, and we ship them to the people that are staking Vend. So when you stake Vend, because like Gwen said, we're wallet infrastructure inside of our DAO ecosystem, you'll have wallets for all these chains that you want to get the rewards in. And so as soon as you start staking, you can get rewards in, say, Bitcoin. And so this is a way for us to reward stakers without having to inflate the supply of the token. So we're pretty excited about that. But a percentage of that revenue, we buy then directly off an exchange, and then we ship it to the landowners. And then they have other discounts and free protection service in our system, as well as a lot of other perks and direct access to the team. We're excited to see people from different blockchains, where sometimes it's tribal, come together and support a cross-chain product, sort of like go beyond what we normally see and help push things forward, regardless of what
they sold out on Algorand. And we have allocations on Polygon, about 3,000. VeChain will be about 1,000, but they sold out on Algorand fairly quickly. And we just want to keep, really keep the momentum going. And hopefully, and that's the goal. So as Doug was saying about Vend, not having the public sale, but I just think, we don't want those peaks and valleys on the price. This is about trying to have an intermediate to long-term mindset on building, a company that's valuable and, that shares their profits with the community.
So what chain will Vend be on?
Vend will be on Algorand. We had discussed a multi-chain token, but given that everything takes place inside of the virtual world and the virtual management dashboard, people will it won't really matter what network it's on, but the Ibble City NFTs and all the land and the property will remain cross-chain.
Okay. And so you guys are building this virtual world. Will the Ven token be the currency of this virtual world?
Yes.
To buy, barter, whatever that turns into.
Yeah.
That's so are they all the same level of plot of land token that people are getting, or are there different levels? Or I'm guessing it's not a PFP style.
There are PFPs in play. So you do get a PFP with each NFT that you have. And we're working on that series right now. The way that essentially the gamification works is when let's say you have 8 of these NFTs. When you come in, it's going to randomly assign you plots of land on the map. And these plots of land have a location value. And so, you're hoping to get one with that maybe is by a park or by the river. So it's got a little higher value. But the real thing that will actually, because that weighs into how much Vend you generate. But the big thing is moving your plots of land to where they go beside each other, so you can merge them together into a larger piece of land, and that is a leveling up. And so when you level up, you get rarer PFPs. You also get a bonus on the Vend that you generate. Moving the whole gameplay around either moving to open spaces or to swapping with somebody else, so that you can merge up is going to be fun to see how that plays out.
Interesting. I think it sounds like a good time to me. When will we be able to start playing around on the testnet to be able to get the Ven token, and how will we know? I mean, because there's X amount of blockchains involved. Where are we going to be going to do this? Yeah,
there's a registration page that anybody can go to. Currently, we've got over, I can't remember where we're at. We're over 55,000 people that have signed up for testnet.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's blown up. We're really good at going viral in Telegram and WhatsApp groups. And so we've got a lot of people that are coming there. And we know a lot of them are coming there to come in, do the minimum, get the Vend, sell the Vend, move on to the next thing. That's fine, but it's going to help. The feedback will help us, and having the Vend in the market will also help us, because we're going to be purchasing Vend each time any of these new accounts are created, and each time we do a revenue share deal with the community. So yeah, we're just weeks away, partner with a new identity validator, and we're integrating the user interface with that, and we're testing all of our recovery systems. And so yeah, we're not too far out. We would like to launch our series on VeChain first, so that, because in order to, at this point, we've gone to a wait list. We had a 50,000 sign up goal, we hit that. And so the people that are outside of that most likely will not make it into testnet, which means they won't get any Vend tokens. And so the only way that you can now get in to testnet at this point is to have at least one Ibble City NFT. That bumps you to the front of the line. That takes you up to, because general registrations were down to like 12 Vend just to participate, but even just one Ibble City, it's like 1,200 Vend. So, I mean, it really boosts you up.
So kind of 30 days, Boomer, for testnet or so, and then don't like putting timing on it, but we want testnet to, we want all the kinks to be out there. That's obviously not a live scenario before mainnet, but we have kind of our internal time frame on mainnet, but we want testnet to work. We want it to be seamless. We want everything to be right and getting all the feedback. So, and then, iterate, build accordingly from there. So yeah, but it's all imminent and it's all close. So that's the important thing. So
Mint and Ibble, sign up on the sign up page, and you're a shoe-in for testnet, and play around, get dropped some Vend token, and proceed from there. Do you guys have a price point in mind for Mint on VeChain?
It will be somewhat, it will be a little less than the floor on Algorand. So I guess we'll make that decision this week, but we haven't decided yet. We're just watching like the dynamics over here. We're really interested in this the whole psychology of it, because currently I think the floor on Algorand in like dollars is around $50 for one, but the mint price over on Polygon is 25 or 26 right now. And so there is some crossover, but we have, you know, Polygon people purchasing over there. And so it's just curious, you know, because we still have people purchasing on secondary markets in Algorand every day. And we say, you know, we appreciate it, but, you know, did you know that it was half the price? And they did.
Doug, I think one went for 1,000. I think one went for 1,000 recently. Algorand.
Yeah. He really, somebody bought one for like almost $350. But it's odd.
Interesting.
The psychology behind NFTs. I'm still every day is a learning. You know, I learn something new every day, and it's just a, you know, fun thing to watch and grow with it.
Well, that's interesting that, you know, you're talking about the psychology and you know, it makes sense both ways. It makes sense to go to Polygon and buy one for half the price. But then again, it also makes sense to go buy one on Algorand where you're comfortable, knowledgeable, and set up for it, you know, because I've done a little bit on other chains, you know, on Cardano and a little bit on Ethereum, a little bit on Algorand, and I'm most comfortable on VeChain. That being said, I wouldn't have any problem navigating my way over on another chain to figure it out, save the 50%. But, you know, there's a lot of people that have not left their chain and are comfortable where they're at. And I think that's it's a pretty awesome product that you guys are putting out, and I'm excited to see where it goes. We are just about out of time for today, but you know, I really appreciate you guys coming on and in such a quick fashion too. But we'll be looking forward to the mint, to the test net, and we'll certainly have to do this again once things keep moving around and go live and we're all building in our able cities and whatnot. So
definitely
appreciate your guys' time and have a good rest of your day.
Thanks for having us. Great. It's great connecting.
All right, we'll see you guys.